The truth is that if you can fully visualize this future version, you become a lot more likely to reach your goals. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Sweatable podcast. My name is Brooks Herbis, and I'm an online fitness, nutrition, and mindset coach who's here to help you simplify and make sense out of the all too confusing fitness and nutrition industry. Let's be real, there's a lot of conflicting information online, and it can be hard to know what's legit and who to trust. In every episode, I'll be sharing the science and psychology behind health, fitness, and long-lasting behavior change. But I'll also be sharing real-life practical application, because all of the best info in the world only matters if you can actually apply it to your real life. So grab a coffee, water, glass of wine, or lace up your walking shoes, and let's dive in. Hello, you guys. Welcome back to the Sweat Simple podcast, and welcome to our first episode of 2025. Behind the scenes, I am recording this in 2024, so I feel like I'm jumping ahead into the future a little bit, which is actually perfect because today we are talking about a concept called future visualization. And we're at the start of the new year. You probably already are having this really big sense of motivation. Although it is the first week of January, so maybe you're still feeling a little hungover, a little blah from New Year's Eve, but you'll get there in the next few days. I have faith that you'll get that extra motivation boost in the next few days. And you'll be feeling like ready to tackle all of your goals, ready to completely change who you are, and just have some big transformations in 2025. And I love that energy. I am here for that energy. Next week, we will be talking more specifically about goal setting, temporal landmarks like the start of the year, how to make this the year that you actually stick to these goals. But before we do that, I want to do a different exercise first. I want to walk you guys through something called future visualization. Now, future visualization is really exactly what it sounds like. It involves imagining you as a future version of yourself who's already reached all of your goals. Why is this important, and why are we talking about it before we get into goal setting? The truth is that if you can fully visualize this future version, you become a lot more likely to reach your goals, because instead of making decisions and taking action based on how you are right now, you can start to take action and you can start to make decisions based on this version of you who's already reached your goals. But you need to have a concrete version. You need to fully understand who and what that version of you is first. So future visualization can also help you get a lot more clear about what are the goals that you really need to set? What are the habits that you need to start focusing on to get to this version of you? That's why it's so important to talk about this and to do this exercise before we get into goal setting. I know that the planning is really fun. I know that that feels really motivating, but first you need to really solidify who it is that you're trying to become. And then you can set more realistic, more helpful goals that help you get to that version of you. So take some time to dream with me. Maybe even close your eyes. Unless you're driving, then don't do that. Take a big, deep breath in and really start to get into this future self. What does this version of you who's already met her goals look like? Does she get up in the morning to do early workouts? Does she meal prep every Sunday? Is she able to go out to eat without guilt? Where is she at in her career? What is her relationship with food like? How does she feel when she puts on a new pair of jeans in the morning? What kind of exercise does she like to do? Really think about this future version of you who has already reached all of her goals. What does her day-to-day look like? Really envision that. And if you want, maybe even pause this podcast episode, maybe journal it out, write it in your notes app. I want you to get really, really specific here. Not only what does her life look like overall, but what sorts of things does she do on a regular basis? How does she feel about herself? How does she feel about food? What are all of these changes that you're trying to make? What does that future version of you feel about all of those things? Now, on the flip side, what are the things that this future version of you doesn't do? Maybe it's prioritizing, maybe she doesn't prioritize work over her workouts. Maybe she doesn't bypass that reminder to eat lunch in order to keep working. Maybe she doesn't have an all or nothing mindset around food. Maybe she doesn't keep eating to the point of feeling sick. Maybe she doesn't talk really negatively about her body. Like, what are the things that this future version of you who's already gotten to her goals, what are the things she doesn't do? What are the things that you need to let go? And I want you to really, really sink into this future version of you. This version of you who has already reached her goals. How does she handle all of the day-to-day hurdles and obstacles that come up? How does she respond when you don't feel like working out? What does she do after a long day of work and she doesn't feel like cooking? Really, guys, take some time to think about these things. Like, journal them down. Truly map this out. Not just like, what do you want your life to look like a year from now, but how do you want to handle these exact things that you're experiencing right now? How does that version of you handle these things? And really get specific, really spend some time thinking and mapping this out, because now I'm going to challenge you to start acting like this version of you. Don't wait until a year from now to start acting like this version of you. Start acting like this version of you now. When you're going about your day, when you don't feel motivated, when you're having a negative thought about yourself, ask yourself, okay, how does the version of me who's already reached my goals, how does she handle this? How would she respond to this negative comment? What would she tell me if I didn't feel like working out? Start acting and thinking in a way like you've already reached all of your goals. Start handling those things like this version of you. Now, obviously, this is easier said than done, which is why more tactical things like goal setting will come into play next week. But go into the new year with this mindset. Acting like this version of you is going to be really, really powerful. And that's why I wanted you to take the time to even map this out. Because by even being able to visualize that version of you and have a really clear understanding of how she responds to your daily hurdles, how she responds to the things that normally hold you back, what her habits look like, you are so much more likely to start taking those actions now. Stop acting like where you are today. That version of you left in 2024. If you're trying to get to this new version of you by the end of 2025, you need to start showing up like her today, right now. Every choice you make, every action you take is in line with the version of you that has already reached her goals. And I want to be perfectly honest, you're not going to be perfect at this. You're going to slip up. You're going to fall back into old habits. You're not going to completely change your life overnight. You're human. I'm not asking you to do that. What I am asking you to do is to just picture this version of you. This version of you at the end of 2025. And I want you to get more intentional about starting to act like her. Stop waiting around for work to get less busy. Stop waiting around until you've reached your goals. In order to reach your goals, you have to start acting like that version of you now. You are going to be much more likely to achieve your goals if you start thinking about and acting as the future version of you would. So take some time this week to get really specific about what her life, habits, feelings around food and exercise look like. And then come back to me next week because we're going to set some specific goals around this version of you. Thank you guys so much as always. This was a shorty but goody episode. I always appreciate you tuning in, being here, listening every single week. If you haven't already, please be sure to leave a review or share this episode on your Instagram stories. I pick one person every month to win a 60-minute power hour with me to do a full audit of your current fitness and nutrition routine. Next week, like I said, we will be diving into actual goal setting of all of this and some really tactical ways that you can take action in 2025. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I will chat with you all next week.